What up? What up? What's good, everybody? Kevin Dee TV back in full effect. Before I break down this next video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button, as well as that little bell. To donate, click on the link in the description below. And if there are any other movies that you feel I should be breaking down, put them in the comment section, and I'll be sure to get to them and we can break them down together in the near future. Now, let's break it down. The movie that I'm breaking down today is, to me, one of the best action films to come out in the 1990s, which is Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. Now, the reason why I'm breaking this movie down, just like I did in my last video with Infinity War, is pretty much the same concept. Fast forward to 2032, which is for us another 14 years from now. So if you look at that movie, this is 25 years ago. They was breaking down shit in that movie that is pretty much happening now. And as I said before, we have to really wake up and see that when they bring these kind of movies to us, they're not just bringing it to us just for the sake of our entertainment. That's part of the reason why they do it, is to keep us, glued and keep us paying attention to other things, while things that are being done behind the scenes we're not paying attention to. But the other main reason is that the fact is that they're giving us not just subliminal messages, but sometimes up in your face messages about how things are going to be in the near future. For example, by the time both Simon Phoenix and John Spartan wake back up in 2032, they both realize that a lot of things have changed, And of course, from the outside looking in, you see how San Angeles, which is no longer Los Angeles, because Santa Barbara, San Diego, and Los Angeles were all merged in 2011 by this point, which, of course, that didn't happen in real life. But what I'm saying is that it's still a metaphor, how it's all being connected to one another, and it's all being run by one man. But from the outside looking in, it all looks glamorous and futuristic. Everybody is pretty much happy and living in peace and harmony and all this other good stuff. But at the end of the day, all of this comes with a price. And if you pay attention to certain parts in the movie, the littlest things were happening and people were running in fear. Like, for example, when Edgar Friendly had splattered some graffiti over a wall, and he said it best in 3 simple words: life is hell. And he had his initials, Edgar Friendly, And when the equipment that he was using to make that graffiti started sparking, the people who were around started running in fear. Now, anybody who lived in a big city, in any town, in any place in this country, whether it's New York, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, Atlanta, Compton, Los Angeles, we are, stuff like that we're used to every day. We were used to, gunshots and buildings burning up and, people getting killed. It's unfortunate, but these are things that we are used to. We still don't live in fear because of these things. But by this time, this is how they're probably going to have the majority of us, because a lot of us are not willing to stand up and fight for the freedoms that we take advantage of today. By the time 2032 comes in Demolition Man, if you pay attention to all of the restrictions that they had by this point, you couldn't curse. You couldn't play any kind of contact sports. Hell, you couldn't even touch a person. You can't even touch a person, period. Let alone, they can't kiss nobody. Let alone make love to anybody. And it's like, it's crazy. You couldn't smoke cigarettes. Everything that we do now, we won't be able to do. And that they pretty much giving you their vision of how they want society to be. And Raymond Cocteau, the guy who was running everything, not only was this guy the mayor, but he also was the governor. So he was pretty much running everything. And one man running every damn thing. You know? But then rather than accepting his power at the moment, oh, he's drunken and he wants more power. So what do? He does exactly what throughout history has always happened. Using crises and terroristic events to put people more in fear and give them more power. That's pretty much what it boils down to, people. You know, when I make these videos, I don't make videos for YouTube views and and stuff like that. Even though I ask people to subscribe, because what I'm telling you is giving you a clear picture of what they're showing us in front of our faces for years, for decades, actually, for as long as Hollywood been out. Since back in the 1930s, they was giving us movies and giving us depictions about what, and giving us, messages about what was going to happen in the future. So with that being said, this is no different. You can't eat salt. Taco Bell was the only one to survive the franchise wars, and they predicted something else in the movie. A certain person who was already governor of California, by the way, they predicted that this man was going to be president. Man already became president by this time. And that's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm like, because there was a part where they was driving from Taco Bell and Lanita Huxley was talking about how she got some books from the Schwarzenegger Presidential Library. And John Spartan said, whoa, what? The Schwarzenegger Library? And she was like, yes, the Schwarzenegger Presidential Library. She was like, was he an actor? He was like, stop, he was president? And then she was breaking down the 21st Amendment, and all this other stuff, of the reason why he did become president. He was like, I don't want to know. Like, president. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, you got to understand, they showing us all of this in our face. Just like how Raymond Cocteau pretty much used Simon Phoenix and brought him back, from the cryo prison and let him go out there and commit terroristic acts and kill people and blow things up only because to keep the people in more fear. Their people was already in fear just by little stuff happening. Now with this guy running around doing shit, and then it's even to the point where the cops were soft. The cops? Look at the cops we deal with today, with all the constant police brutality that we deal with and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? The cops were even soft to the point where they couldn't apprehend Simon Phoenix. He whooped all their asses and pretty much kept it moving. And then, Big Brother TV cameras all over the place, run by an artificial intelligence system called L7. And how ironic they call it L7 because that's what they all were at the end of the day, squares. They were all squares, and even the cops, everybody, nobody couldn't handle nothing. That's why when Simon Phoenix first came out and he was doing his thing, and Raymond Cocteau was talking to Chief George Earl, talking about you have my utmost confidence to do anything to capture the madman, blah, 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 blah. He hung up the phone with him, and then he chuckled to himself and said, utmost confidence, because he knew the cops wasn't going to be able to handle it. But they kind of foiled his plans when they brought John Spartan back. It's pretty much what I'm saying, man. And, or just like in the scene where Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone was supposed to, make love, and they had these things on their head, and rather than touching each other, they had to visualize it. And then when he was like, well, won't we do it the old-fashioned way? And she was like, ew, disgusting. You talking about fluid transfer? He's like, no. He was like boning, the mamba humba, the hunka chunka. And she was like, how, our sexual behavior was one of the reasons for the downfall of society. Breaking down that after AIDS, there was NRS. After NRS, there was UBT. So the movie was also breaking down how there were going to be more infectious diseases than AIDS. There was going to be worse diseases than AIDS that's going to come out of nowhere. And that's what is going to, come to the point where people ain't going to even be able to touch each other no more because that's how bad things got. And to the point where if you wanted a kid, you had to go to a lab. You couldn't, do it the old fashioned way. You couldn't, have sex and then, somebody get pregnant and then, you go to a hospital and give birth. them days are going to be over, because everything is going to be done by a computer and more artificial, dissemination and artificial intelligence and everything else. Life as we know it right now will cease to exist in the next, I give it 10 years, if we don't stand up and start doing something. Because the people who lived underground with Edgar Friendly and all of them, they were the ones who knew what it was. They were the ones who knew what it was. Because at the end of the day, that's why they were down there. Because they would much rather be down there with their freedom, even if it meant them starving to death and eating rats and everything else in between, than being up there and being, pretty much like a slave. Like a robotic slave, indoctrinated to Raymond Cocteau's way of living. And Raymond Cocteau thought that Edgar Friendly was so dangerous. That was another reason why he brought Simon Phoenix out, because he was like, your job is to kill Mr. Edgar Friendly. Because Edgar Friendly, he felt in his mind, was the only one that could be able to bring revolution. But at the time, Edgar Friendly wasn't really trying to do revolution. He was just surviving. It was just him and a few of his homeboys. They would come out and rob the Taco Bell truck, a few times at a time, and they'll just go ahead and take a few things, take a few items and go head back underground, And it took John Spartan to realize that when he fought them, the one time in front of Taco Bell, he was like, wait a minute, these guys ain't out here trying to terrorize people. These guys are just here trying to find something to eat, and it's the truth, Just like when they went down there looking for Simon Phoenix, and they run into Edgar Friendly, and before that, he noticed that they're cooking burgers and shit, and he's chunking on it, and then the next thing you know, he asks the woman what's the meat made out of, and she said it's made out of rat. I mean, like, if we don't wake up right now, this is the things that we're gonna have to be facing. Some of us are gonna go underground. Some of us are gonna head for the mountains. Some of us are gonna head for the woods. But for the most part, it's gonna be just like that. Those that know who it is, that know what it is, are gonna be the ones living in those areas, underground, mountains, woods, while the rest of everybody is gonna, pretty much conform to the government's way of doing things and pretty much, live as an indoctrinated slave. It's your choice. That's pretty much what Demolition Man is telling you. Fuck all the action and Wesley and Sylvester fighting each other and all that shit. This is what the movie is pretty much telling you. It's either freedom or indoctrination. That's it. That's pretty much what it all boils down to, people. I ask people to subscribe because I want people to be able to wake up. And then I want to be able to bring to you as much content from each movie as I possibly can without it getting too boring for everybody. Because I know, the average person's attention span is not all that high. And I'm not saying that in disrespect to anybody, it's just the truth of the matter. But my purpose is to try to bring you the truth through our favorite movies that we have known to grow up with and love throughout the years, and showing you the real messages that they've been trying to show us. That's what my purpose of this channel is. This is the purpose of Kevin Dee TV. It's not just the, get likes and get subscriptions. This is about pretty much waking as much people up as I possibly can before shit start popping off. So either you're going to be, like I said, in the futuristic, city or land, you're going to be indoctrinated to a certain way of thinking, dressing the same, sounding the same. Just like how we always say in hip hop, how everybody's pretty much sounding the same, looking the same. It's happening right before our very eyes in every area that you can think of, and we're not even realizing it. We're just going with the flow. because outside of work and going to the club, for most of us, we don't pay attention to anything else. And it's sad. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's just like I was saying in the Infinity War video, a lot of y'all claim that y'all love y'all kids and you love your grandkids and how you would die and kill for them. But it's stuff like this that we need to inform our kids about, so that in that way they'll have the knowledge and the tools necessary to be able to make sure that freedom still lives. Because any real person who's been studying this longer than me will tell you, after 9/11, freedom died. A lot of people may not want to hear that, but it's the truth. You know? A lot of people may not want to hear that, but it's the truth. And that was the whole purpose of 9/11 happening, to keep us in fear. And it has been since it's happened 17 years ago. So with that being said, it's like I said, instead of constantly living in fear and us being reminded of 9/11, we need to look at 9/11 as an example of how we shouldn't be living in fear. We need to keep, freedom alive. And I'm trying the best I can to preserve freedom the best way that I can. I can only do but so much. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And there's a whole bunch of other sayings that I can come up with, but I won't do that. I will just end it on this note. Again, to those who are not sheeple, as the legendary Bill Cooper once said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and, you can donate, to this channel by clicking on the links below, and I love all of y'all. And I truly want to see freedom and our Constitution survive, because it is being attacked every day, whether you see it or not, whether you like it or not. I'll end it on this. Everybody can bitch and complain about Trump, but as long as we don't stand up and do what we got to do as individual American citizens, then things like this will keep on happening until there's nothing we can do about it. And like I said, it's either go with the flow or head for the mountains or head for the woods. And with that being said, this is Kevin Dee TV. We signing off. Peace and love.